Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for notification.
नमस्कार, आपके साथ मैं हूं अर्पिता आर्या। आईटीसी और नेटवर्क 18 की इस खास सीरीज स्वाभिमान भारत में आपका फिर से स्वागत है। आज हम बात करेंगे भारत की आबोहवा में मनोरंजन का तड़का लगाने वाली एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री की। एक पर्दा है फिल्मों का, जिसे सुनहरा पर्दा कहते हैं, तो दूसरा है छोटा पर्दा, लेकिन उसमें भी रंगों की कमी नहीं है। ये है टेलीविजन इंडस्ट्री। आज देश में करीब 900 सैटेलाइट टीवी चैनल, 60,000 के आसपास केबल ऑपरेटर और 7 डीटीएच प्लेटफॉर्म मौजूद हैं। आज का दर्शक आखिर कैसा मनोरंजन पसंद करता है और कैसा होगा भारतीय टीवी इंडस्ट्री का आने वाला कल?
गद्दी पे चाहे हम रहें या मुन्ना, नियम सेम होगा।
भारत में मनोरंजन हर घर का जरूरी हिस्सा बन चुका है और डिजिटल क्रांति ने दर्शकों के लिए इस मनोरंजन के चेहरे में बहुत से बदलाव किए हैं। खास तौर पर महामारी और उसके बाद के तालाबंदी के दौरान डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर परोसा जा रहा कंटेंट देश और दुनिया को बहुत लुभा रहा है। डिजिटल कंटेंट्स की खपत ने इस समय में तेजी से बढ़ोतरी देखी गई है और इसी के चलते पिछले साल ओटीटी प्लेयर्स ने दर्शकों को खुद से जोड़े रखने के लिए अपने तौर तरीकों में भारी फेरबदल किए हैं। साथ ही महामारी के बीच पिछले कुछ महीनों ने सभी ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स को बेहद प्रतिस्पर्धी बना दिया है, क्योंकि दर्शक अब उसे ही देखना पसंद कर रहे हैं जो अपने आप में कुछ नया और ओरिजिनल लेकर आता है।
OTT phenomenon will definitely help creating content that maybe would have not made it to the large screen. It's also been further accelerated by this pandemic that's happened, over the last year, now coming almost on to a year and a half. And people have, I think, somehow gotten used to now, watching a film at home, watching it on a screen, maybe that's smaller than than the filmmaker would like. So that has brought its share of, there is a serious demand for content when it comes to the OTT platform. For people who have made it a part of their daily routine, when they get home from work or when they get home from studying, they sit in front of their television and they watch something. And eventually you run out of interesting things to watch. So the demand to keep putting something new on there is pretty massive, even from the OTT platform's point of view, to keep creating and generating content, to keep a subscriber interested. And that allows for opportunities that the regular modus of releasing in theaters would maybe not have allowed. You can make films for specific audiences that can be slightly more risque, that can be slightly more edgy, that could touch on topics that maybe don't resonate in a mass kind of way. And that the OTT platform has allowed, which is one. The other thing that it's done is it has made it convenient for any subscriber of theirs to watch it anywhere in the world. The focus on content having to be good is very, very important. When a film releases in a theater, many a times, and we've seen this through our lives, is just the magnetism of a star, or the combination of a director and a star coming together is at times the big USP. And that pulls in a great audience over the first weekend and they make great numbers, and maybe the film wasn't that great, but it's a success because people went into the theaters and watched it in huge numbers. The OTT platform is very equitable when it comes to that. There could be a film with no stars and a director you've never heard of, but would be amazingly loved because the content is great. Or then you have a film which is a massive budget film with a big director and a big star attached, but the content completely sucks, and it gets completely panned. So it's very revealing that eventually what matters on an OTT platform is content, and to me the star power is not as big an influence when it comes to the OTT platform as it is when it comes to theaters.
महामारी ने मनोरंजन की दुनिया के कुछ बड़े खिलाड़ियों के दबदबे को कम कर दिया है, जो सालों साल से सिनेमा में अपनी खास जगह बनाए हुए थे। इस वक्त जिस तरह के थिएटर मालिकों और ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स में जनता को सिनेमा दिखाने के अधिकार पर लड़ाई सी चल रही है, इन सभी चुनौतियों के बावजूद कई प्रतिभाशाली निर्देशकों और कलाकारों के लिए ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स ने दरवाजे खोल दिए हैं और बेहतरीन ओरिजिनल कंटेंट के लिए खासी जगह बन चुकी है।
So the biggest change that I felt when I did my first series, I did a show called It's Not That Simple with Swara back in 2016. And one of the first changes I noticed was that I
Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for notification.
did not have to depend on who is the lead cast while making it. And since then, I've done several other shows, and even while writing it, the advantage is that now the Friday numbers that a person brings in the film industry for the longest time, we've had it's not a developed system, but it's subconsciously there, where you cast an actor based on what their known returns at the box office are. OTT kind of removes that from the process, which is a great thing, because you end up casting people and in your shows or in your movies who are just right for the role and not necessarily based on what their box office draw is. So I feel that in a way has changed or is in the process of changing. Whether that change translates into theatrical releases as well, we don't know. We are yet to see that, because in any case, theatrical releases have taken a hit this year. And I mean, they have greater problems coming back to normalcy to address before they can come back to normalcy. But I feel in OTT platforms that the one biggest change that's happened is the fact that now the box office numbers are kind of taken out of the equation.
हंसल मेहता की स्कैम 1992 हर्षद मेहता की कहानी पर आधारित इस वेब सीरीज को समीक्षकों ने सबसे ज्यादा रिव्यू किया है। 2020 के अक्टूबर महीने में सोनी लिव पर स्ट्रीम होने वाली इस 10 पार्ट सीरीज ने ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स के सब्सक्रिप्शन बेस को बढ़ा दिया है। साथ ही इस प्लेटफॉर्म को बाजार में पहले से ही मौजूद बड़े खिलाड़ियों के बराबर में जगह मिल गई है।
OTT is here to stay because, you know, many accomplished storytellers, many experienced storytellers have chosen this medium to tell stories that conventional formats of entertainment don't allow you to say. So in that sense, OTT is there. It is there to empower storytellers. But we are judging perhaps too early. Given the fact that OTT has really come into its own, so to say, during the pandemic, where people had no choice but to be at home, and their only source of entertainment was their screens. So, but yes, it's an encouraging moment in entertainment history where we have a widened canvas, we have a wider playing field where we can actually decide how and where we tell our stories. So yes, in that sense, OTT is here to stay.
सिनेमा में परंपरा की बात करें तो 8 सब्जेक्ट्स वाले फिल्मों को सिर्फ बड़े पैमानों पर समारोहों में प्रदर्शित किया जाता था और वहीं पर उन पर चर्चा की जा सकती थी, और ये सब केवल उन लोगों तक ही सीमित रहता था जो वहां उन समारोहों में शिरकत किया करते थे। लेकिन जब से ये प्लेटफॉर्म्स घर घर पहुंचे हैं, इस तरह का कंटेंट अब ज्यादातर सभी की पहुंच में है। केवल एक बटन के क्लिक पर ये फिल्में कभी भी कहीं भी देखी जा सकती है।
As a result of especially international OTT platforms coming into India, like say Netflix and Amazon and now Disney, as compared to the homegrown platforms, is that A, their entire library is accessible to us, and B, because of their tie-ups with local production houses, our content has now all been uploaded onto platforms which are accessible globally. As opposed to having to buy a DVD or a Blu-ray or watching it in the theater when it releases. And theatrical releases of especially of Indian language content is limited to a certain few key markets: US, UK, Dubai, Australia, and that's it. But now the advantage is that, say your show or your movies on a Netflix or on Amazon Prime, there are about 80 to 90 countries where Netflix or an Amazon exists, and if your show or movie is on it, then everybody in these countries has access to them.
भारत की फिल्म इंडस्ट्री सिनेमा में पिरोए गए संगीत और नृत्य कला के चलते देश में दर्शकों की पहली पसंद बन चुकी है, पर अब भारतीय सिनेमा को दुनिया भर के दर्शकों द्वारा मान्यता दी जा रही है, और इसलिए भारतीय फिल्म निर्माता अब ऐसी कहानियां बना रहे हैं जो दुनिया भर में पसंद की जा सके। इसी कड़ी में प्रियंका चोपड़ा, इरफान खान, फ्रीदा प्रिंटो और सूरज शर्मा हॉलीवुड की तरफ रुख करने वाले कुछ भारतीय कलाकार रहे हैं। सूरज शर्मा, जिन्होंने 2012 में ऑस्कर विजेता फिल्म लाइफ ऑफ पाई से अपनी अभिनय की शुरुआत की, ने पिछले कई सालों में बहुत सी सफल अंतर्राष्ट्रीय फिल्मों और टेलीविजन शोज में भी काम किया है।
I feel like it's been like a wonderful journey. I feel like I've learned a lot over this, the course of 10 years that this has been my career. I feel really blessed because, I've gotten to meet a lot of amazing human beings over the course. It's been great. So I feel very, very lucky about this. Obviously when I started off,
Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for notifications.
I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. With Life Pie, at that when we were making it, we didn't know that it would do as well as it did, or especially me, I didn't know much about anything really on that front. So, it's been a journey of surprises also, but it's been great, man. I feel very, 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 very blessed. Now I've gotten to work in like a variety of different, formats of, whether it be movies, TVs, and all this stuff. So it's been great. 100% Indian talent is getting a lot more noticed. I think, as much as it is the acceptance of Indian talent in in the Western Hemisphere, it's also just the fact that India in terms of the industry itself is going through a bit of a change. Like it's kind of evolving, it's growing, right? Like so, young people are getting involved and they're getting to make things. Because of that, like it takes whatever you want to call it, freshness or youth and stuff like that, to evolve something further, to make it grow. And just with the variety of like media platforms that you can make things on and get it seen, this is becoming more and more plausible. So because of that, I feel like the industry itself is growing, evolving. They're trying new things, which is like the only thing that really it makes someone watch something is something new, something to learn, something to like experience, right? And like now this is starting to happen, and I feel like the world is definitely noticing, like there are changes, there's something new, it's not what they're expecting.
Right now we are at the stage where our storytelling has become sophisticated. We are technically very accomplished, but I think the Indianization, instead of Indianizing our stories are getting westernized, increasingly westernized. I think we need to tell Indian stories to a global audience.
I feel our primary duty and responsibility is to make films that we believe in, that we know will also resonate with our own audiences. So that is really where it begins from. If we want to speak to people outside this diaspora, and if we want to speak to people who are watching films from South America, watching films from Europe, watching films from Korea, we have to speak a different kind of language, and create a different kind of narrative. But then that is a choice. I feel that at the moment we have many filmmakers, and rightfully so, making films for their masses and for their people. And I don't feel that we should be burdened by this, with some kind of sense of duty or responsibility that we have to go and please everyone all the time. There are filmmakers who have tried it. Some have been successful, some haven't. But that really is the nature of the game.
एंटरटेनमेंट की बात हो रही है तो स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी की बात कैसे ना हो। रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी से जुड़े कुछ ऐसे चुटकुले जो हंसा हंसा कर आपके पेट में दर्द कर देते हैं। छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद आप बात करेंगे मनोरंजन के इसी नए अवतार यानी स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी कल्चर की।
Tap into the potential of cryptocurrency and discover how it can play a catalyst in India's growth.
Wazir X and CNBC TV 18 present Crypto.
आईटीसी और नेटवर्क 18 की इस खास पहल स्वाभिमान भारत में एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है। एक समय था जब कॉमेडी हमें सिर्फ फिल्मों में या फिर किसी हास्य धारावाहिक में ही देखने को मिलती थी, पर आज देश में स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी काफी पसंद की जा रही है। इस शैली ने बहुत ही कम समय में मनोरंजन की दुनिया में अपनी खास जगह बना ली है।
मनोरंजन की दुनिया में स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी एक नया अवतार है जिसे आज हर कोई पसंद कर रहा है। साथ ही स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी आज भारत में बड़ा व्यवसाय बन चुका है। इस शैली की लोकप्रियता ने इंडस्ट्री में भी बड़े बदलाव लाए हैं। ओपन माइक आयोजनों और स्टैंड अप क्लब्स को पूरे देश में खोलने का एक नया चलन सा शुरू हो गया है।
Now in the last few years what's happened is that a lot of live stand-up comedy has started happening. So people are now more open to the idea of paying to watch live stand-up, which was not happening 10 years ago when we started. So it's a bigger field for them, and now people have also started looking at
Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for notifications.
regional comedy. That's another big thing that has happened. So when sometimes people say that there are already enough comics in India, I think we still have like 75-80 professional stand-up comics for a population of 1.3 billion. So there's enough scope for everybody as long as you bring your own story. Don't try to be, like anybody else. But if you're bringing a new story, you'll see one guy coming out every day.
भारत का स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी स्पेस पिछले कुछ वर्षों में तेजी से बढ़ा है, जिसमें फेसबुक और यूट्यूब जैसे सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर इस मनोरंजन की शैली को विकसित करने के लिए बेहतरीन लॉन्च पैड दे रहे हैं। स्टैंड अप कॉमेडी के साथ जुड़े सामाजिक और राजनीतिक पहलुओं के साथ भारत के युवाओं ने भी खुद को जोड़ा है और ये ऑनलाइन इसके सबसे बड़े उपभोक्ता भी हैं।
So what has happened with social media is that there are no walls now between the artist and the consumer. Nobody's trying to change them. Nobody's trying to put their own colors to the palette that an artist has created. And what happens is there is no wall between them in terms of money also. Okay. So if you are good, for example, earlier when people were on television, as a comedian, if you've done a set, it could be a legendary set, but you were paid once, a small amount, and after that everything belonged to the television channel or whatever. They make money in perpetuity. But now what happens is that if I have created a video and I put it online, I get advertising revenues in perpetuity myself. There's nobody else who's making money in the process. So the more people will watch, I'll keep on getting money, whether it's, whether I did that video in 2014, if somebody watches it in 2021, I am still getting the money. So I own the rights. So the rights have also transferred of all creativity to the artist. So that's a big thing that's happened.
कॉमेडी शो की बढ़ती मांग को पूरा करने के लिए OTT प्लेटफॉर्म्स अपने कॉमेडी स्लॉट्स को भरने भी लगे हैं। Amazon प्राइम के मुताबिक इनके टैलेंट हंट शो कॉमिक्स्तान का पहला सीजन 2019 में सबसे ज्यादा देखे जाने वाले शोज में से एक था।
So with OTTs, what has happened is that the advantage is that they give you a ready-made audience. Okay, so they take you beyond your existing followers. Okay. Because my followers I have to earn every time I put in some content, I get some more followers. But OTT has a ready-made set of followers. It's still better than a television or a movies because there's lesser censorship, there's lesser control over your content by anybody else. And somehow OTTs have generally been very open to giving you that freedom of saying what you want to say. So that's where it's worked very well for us. Okay, like I have done shows on my special on Netflix, for example, has been watched by people with subtitles in Spanish, and they've written to me that we watched it in Spanish and we liked what you said about the relationship with your wife and your kids. So that's what OTTs are doing. They're giving you a platform and taking you beyond your regular audience, and still giving you all the freedom that we wanted, which we never got with the television.
कॉमेडी के अलावा आज पौराणिक कथा शैली भी काफी पसंद की जा रही है। लेखकों की बढ़ती संख्या के कारण नियमित रूप से उपन्यास बाजार में आ रहे हैं, जो बेस्ट सेलर सूचियों पर अक्सर अपना नाम दर्ज करते हैं। भारतीय हमेशा से पौराणिक कथाओं को पसंद करते रहे हैं और डिजिटल युग में इन महाकाव्यों के बारे में बात करना और भी आसान हो गया है। असुर, टेल ऑफ द वैंक्विश्ड एंड द बाहुबली सीरीज ऑफ बुक ने पौराणिक कथाओं को एक नया रूप देने में काफी सफलता पाई है।
India is the mother of storytelling. If you see, in the Indus Valley Seal, one of the prominent Indus Valley Seal is a tale with most of the world might be familiar with, the crow putting stones into a pot. That is one of the Indus Valley Seals. So you can just imagine how many thousand years, is almost 5,000 years old, that seal is. And if that to come in a seal of 5,000 years, the story would have been much older than language, as old as the humanity, right? So Indians have inherited this great storytelling tradition. Across Asia, Ramayana and Mahabharata and many of the local epics or the Tamil epics and other things have influenced a lot of cultures. They gave birth to many kind of art forms, not only in India, but in places of extended India perhaps, like Cambodia, Indonesia, even up to Japan, it inspired. Even in Mongolia, Indian stories have inspired. They also have the god Garud is also worshipped there, where they had considered sky as the god. The Garud also was worshipped. The Ramayana have gone to both west and east. Similarly, the famed Arabian Nights have their roots in Kadasarit Sagar, which itself has its roots in Brihat Kada, which is much older, written in Paishaji language. Panchatantra went all over the world and inspired Aesop's fables. Like that, Indians have been telling great stories and almost for 5,000, 6,000 years in various languages and inspiring art, culture, music. So I think as inheritors of this culture, it's our duty to propagate it and take it forward in using the modern format.
आज जैसे जैसे भारत में मनोरंजन की दुनिया डिजिटल परिवर्तन से गुजर रही है, देश अपनी संस्कृति और विरासत से प्रेरणा लेकर आगे बढ़ रहा है।
भारत में टेलीविजन की शुरुआत 15 सितंबर 1959 में दिल्ली से हो चुकी थी, लेकिन 25 अप्रैल 1982 को पहली बार टीवी पर रंगीन प्रसारण शुरू हुआ और लोगों में इसका क्रेज तेजी से बढ़ा। कभी छत पर चढ़कर एंटीना ठीक करने की कोशिश होती थी और आवाजें लगाकर पूछा जाता था कि एंटीना को और घुमाना है या नहीं, और आज वॉइस कमांड से बैठे बैठे चैनल बदल जाता है। यही बीतता वक्त है जिसके साथ कदम मिलाकर चलता है इंसान। आईटीसी और नेटवर्क 18 की इस खास सीरीज स्वाभिमान भारत में आज बस इतना ही। अगले हफ्ते फिर कुछ नई कहानियों के साथ मुलाकात होगी। तब तक के लिए नमस्कार।
Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon for notification.